You're listening to The Moose and the Loose, your 10 minutes action-packed financial podcast with your host, Mikey Hu. Hey, what's up, Market Moose? Mike from the Moose on the Loose. Welcome to Retirement Friday. Over the past few weeks, we had a very interesting discussion at my retirement community, Retirement Loop. So we ask our loopers, what would it feels like for the first year of your retirement? And I think it's a very crucial year, not just in terms of like planning and budgeting and like withdrawing money from your portfolio, but more about what you really intend to do and how you approach retirement. I mean, it's a whole new season in your life. It's a big one, maybe like the longest one or among the longest of your seasons in your life. I mean, if you're thinking about like your youth and then your 20s when you're just like hustling and working, and then maybe 30s, 40s thinking about like building a company, or not a company but a family. I was thinking about my business, a business for me in my 40s, your family, having a house, like building something. But then you go into retirement and then you may spend another like 25, 35, 40 years. Who knows, right? If you retire at 60 and you live up to 100, well, there you go. You got like 40 years of retirement to plan. And it's kind of interesting because the answer we got at Retirement Loop was a mixed bag of apprehension and excitement. Kind of interesting. I mean, most loopers, when they had their first year of retirement, they went on like full checking the bucket list items, right? So a lot of like traveling, such as like going 6 months in South America, doing like visiting like Morocco, Costa Rica, Greece, Europe, cruises, all the things you can you can imagine. Some others went for like activities like tap dance classes, golfing, learning new sports or anything like that. And then some others were just like, yeah, we did like some major home renovation, so many things that I didn't have the time before, and now I finally have the time to do. So it's kind of like makes sense, right? You have been working all your life, and when you're working, you maybe have like 3-4 weeks of vacation, which is not too much. And most of the time, you just like take a 2 weeks or 3 weeks trip somewhere. You relax, and then you go back to your work routine without thinking too much about what's going to be the next step. But when you're retired, you're just like, wow, I have all the time in the world. Technically, I still have enough health to do a lot of things. And most of the time, you have also the money to do it. So it's time to travel. It's time to do new activities. It's time to do new home renovation or any like small projects you add on your list for a long while, or maybe your spouse had on your list for a long while. Now you just want to get them off your list. So time bucket, I like to identify those as like time buckets instead of like bucket lists, in sense of if you're thinking about the things that you may be able to do at 75 versus the thing that you are able to do at 60 or 65. Maybe you want to do like the hardest thing, like physically speaking, at the very beginning of your retirement. So like 6 months in South America, I'm thinking about that while you're backpacking, you're traveling a little bit more like not hardcore, but a little bit tougher than 2 weeks cruises, right? Well, you don't have to do too much and manage the itinerary or plan ahead. So those things, you're going to do it right away. But then the thing that most retirees said was there is a slowdown, and that slowdown is almost like a depression. That comes after a few months, maybe a year of retirement, because there are a lot of things that happens at the beginning. You get excited, but in the end, there are so many countries you can visit without feeling tired, right? There's so many home renovation that you can you can achieve in your house in a year without being like completely makeover of your home. There are so many classes or new activities you want, or books that you want to read, and then you're starting to cool off. But once you're starting to cool off and do less things, you wonder, what will you do next? Is there anything else on your list? Or maybe you're just tired, you want to take a pause, but what's going to happen during that time off, right? There's no reason to wake up early. There's nothing expected of you. you kind of like lose a little bit of the sense of purpose because you wake up and there's nothing to do, there's no work to be done, and then you just don't feel like taking another item on your bucket list. And then sometimes, unfortunately, you start reading the news and then you realize that the stock market is once again on a crazy roller coaster because of tariffs, because of wars, because of inflation or interest rates, or God knows what's going to happen in 3 months, right? And then you start having worries, like you worry about, do you have enough money to retire in the end, and what can you do? Because when the brain slows down, when you have like less things to think, well, the brain finds another way to keep going, and then most of the time, well, create scenarios, and those scenarios are usually not that great. So why most retirees feel like this after like the towards the end of the year, the first retirement, or after a year? Well, the thing is, a lot of young retiree will treat retirement like it's a 2-week vacation, right? You just go on and then you just like boom, 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 boom. You do as much thing as possible, and then you come back to your routine. But retirement is actually a new lifestyle, and I experienced that when I took a sabbatical year. Actually, it was kind of like a mini retirement, if you want. So at first, when we jump in our RV, the first 3-4 weeks, I would say we were just doing everything. Like every single day, we were on the go, trying to see as many things as possible: museums, activities, going to the lake, playing with kids, doing schools, and then we were like completely dead after like 3 weeks. We're just like, okay, that's not a sustainable cadence for the next 50 weeks ahead. That doesn't make any sense. And then we realized that we were not on a 2-week vacation. We were on a long trip, such as retirement. It is about adopting a new lifestyle and changing your perceptions of things. And when we did that in the RV, we slowed down. We decided to stay. We decided not to stick to that schedule and itinerary that hard. So we were just like, oh, we can just take 2 more days here because we just love it. And just spending the time to wake up in the morning and not necessarily having something to do, and just appreciate the fact that we were in a sabbatical year with our family and there was no rush. And at that time, the trip that we took completely shifted, and we were always energized, happier, and it went super well. So here are a few tricks if you are about to enter into your first year of your retirement. I mean, I get it. You have your time buckets, or you have your bucket list. You want to tackle this list and do a few things. That's perfect. But you also need to think about, what will be my routine? Like, what I will, like, you need to know what you're going to be doing on a daily basis when you're not attacking that bucket list. And that is just an idea of like how to get everything going. So you can say, oh, I'm going to go for a walk, or I'm going to go for like a breakfast at like a restaurant to just meet up with people, because I mean, social impact is like super important at retirement. You may want a dog or a cat to keep you busy as well. Having like weekly activities, it's great, but just don't go crazy on those. You can start, like, I don't know, gardening, or like reading 1 book a week, and having this kind of like routine where you go to a cafe and then you take notes, or you read a book, or you learn a new language, but you keep yourself busy in a daily matter. Another thing that you could do is to build new senses of purpose. So you can do volunteer work. You can help at school. God knows schools need all the help they can, right? You can help during like planning new activities in your cities. You can start a side project. I definitely can think of myself of like having like side projects at retirement, or working still a little bit on like online stuff for sure, just to have fun. Like maybe keep on doing the moose on the loose. You see, that's a good daily habit. Like 5 times a week, I wake up, I start recording 10 minutes. It's just like fun. It helps me get the day start. So I can see myself do that at retirement as well. I like, one of the looper actually said, well, I now work part-time at LCBO, and I hope that she gets some She gets some rebates on wine and beers maybe, but you get the point. So you can just having like a sense of purpose, get like daily and weekly task and things you want to do will help you not fall into that kind of like retirement depression. That will help you. And of course, having a good plan will definitely convince that you don't need to read all the news and you don't need to panic and you don't need to follow your portfolio. So at Retirement Loop, we suggest that retirees retire each year, meaning that they should run the calculation and update their numbers yearly, not daily, not weekly, not quarterly, just once a year. So the other 364 days, you should not look at your plan because it's super solid. So if you want to know how to build such a solid retirement plan and not having to worry about what's coming up next, you can register to our retirement newsletter at moosemarkets.com/retirement. So it's moosemarkets.com/retirement. And this is kind of like an introduction of what we do at Retirement Loop. It's not to sell you anything. It's really to help you building that solid plan and retire stress-free and finally enjoy retirement. So, all right, Moose, that's enough for today. Enjoy your weekend. And we're going to talk again on Monday about the stock market. And we may or may not talk about Magna International on Monday. So, all right, Moose, have yourself a nice weekend and stay invested. Hey, welcome to the disclaimer. If you're listening to The Moose and the Loose, you cannot really expect me to give you buy or sell recommendation or financial advice, right? You're here for fun, you're here for information and some entertainment. But I am not your financial advisor, I am not your broker, so therefore I'm not liable if you're losing money after listening to the podcast. If you're looking for some advice, go see a professional. If not, you can enjoy the show and do your due diligence after it.